Hello students, we are going for the next heading called as algae. So algae is also called as Thallophyta. So it is nothing but it comes under Thallophyta. So because here the plant body is called as thallus. Because of thallus we call it as Thallophyta. Here the algae is nothing but a simple thalloid autotrophic plants. So before going in detail, we are talking about the study of algae. The study of algae is called as algology. Algology is also called as phycology. So the study of algae is called as phycology. The word phyco means it's nothing but algae. So the study of algae is called as phycology or algology. Next, we go for the next study called as the father of phycology. The father of phycology. So here the father of phycology or algology is it is called as Fritz. So this person, I'll repeat this, the father of phycology is F.E. Fritz. So this person has written a book called as The Structure. He has written a book called Structure and Reproduction. So the father of phycology, Fritz, has written a book called as The Structure and Reproduction of Algae. So this is the book written by Fritz. Next, we go for the father of Indian phycology. The father of Indian phycology. So here, the father of Indian phycology is M.O.P. Iyengar. It is M.O.P. Iyengar is called as the father of Indian phycology. I am repeating it. The study of algae is called as phycology or algology, and the father of phycology is F.E. Fritz. He has written a book. The book is called The Structure and Reproduction of Algae. And he is also, so he has studied about the algae structure and reproduction. Next, the father of Indian phycology is M.O.P. Iyengar. Now we are going in detail about the thallus or plant body. So here the algae is simple. Algae has a presence of simple thallus. So because of thallus, we use a word thalloid. The plant body is thallus. We use the word thalloid, and it is autotrophic. The word autotrophic, which can prepare their own food. Here, the plant body is simple. It is like a thallus. Here, the plant body is not differentiated into root, stem and leaf. Hence, we use the word simple plant body or thalloid plant body. Here, root, stem and leaf is not present. Hence, it is thallus or thalloid. And they are autotrophic because they have a green pigment called as chlorophyll. Here, there is a presence of a green pigment called as chlorophyll. In the presence of this chlorophyll, they can prepare their own food. Here, the food is prepared and it has a simple thalloid body, green color pigment called as chlorophyll. In the presence of this, they prepare their own food. Hence, they are called as autotrophic organisms. Autotrophic organisms, or they are autotrophic in nature. Next, the algae is large. So algae has the presence of largely present in the water. It is largely present in the aquatic nature. So look at this. They are present. Majority of the algae largely is present in the water. We see both. It is freshwater algae is also there. Marine water algae is also there. So one of the freshwater algae. So freshwater algae, you can see one is called as Eurythrax, the other one is called as Spirogyra. So Eurythrax and Spirogyra, this is usually the freshwater algae. Now we go for the marine water algae. So here the marine water is nothing but salt water. So marine water algae is called as Pulpo. So this is a marine water algae. So we go for the next one. The algae has a very huge habitats. That is nothing but they grow on different places. Just as there is majority or aquatic, it may be freshwater or marine water. It is also present on the other habitats. It is present on the other habitats. One of this is called as epizoic. The word epizoic, it is nothing but the algae grows on the animal bodies. The algae always grows on the animal bodies. For that we use the word epizoic. So here the example for this is called as, one of this is Trichophilus. This Trichophilus is growing on the sloth beard. So on the animal body like sloth beard, the algae grows, and this algae is called as Trichophilus. We go for the second one called as Cladophora. So in this Cladophora, usually this Cladophora grows on the molluscan shells. So mollusca is called as soft-skinned body covered by the shell. On the shell of the molluscans, Cladophora is growing. Next, we go for the other word called as epilithic. The word epilithic, the algae is growing on the stones. The algae is attached on the stones. For that we use the word epilithic. And next we go for the other one called as symbiosis. The word symbiosis is nothing but it is the mutual understanding between two organisms. It is a mutual understanding between the two organisms. For that we use the word symbiosis. So in this symbiosis, the algae is associated with fungi. Here both algae and fungi is being associated together. So algal fungi are associated. Example here we use the word lichens. So this symbiosis is also, here we use the word master-slave relationship. Master-slave relationship. Here we say that master-slave relationship because here the fungi is called as a master. Here the fungi is called as a master. It usually extracts the food from the algae. Here the algae is called as slave. So algae prepares the food and that food is extracted by the fungi and depends. But it never gives anything in return to it. Anything return to it, it is not giving. So we use the word master-slave relationship. Here, algae prepares the food. That food is extracted by the fungi and is not giving anything to the algae. But still there is a mutual association between algae and fungi. Hence we use the word master-slave relationship. Next, we will go for the other one, some of the examples of algae. The first one, examples of algae. The first one is unicellular algae. Unicellular algae. So we know that here the algae is made up of only one cell. There is a presence of a single cell, hence it is called as unicellular algae, and the example for this is called as Chlamydomonas. So it is a Chlamydomonas is a unicellular algae, and we go for this next one called as colonial algae. The word colonial algae, here the algae forms a colony, a group of unicellular organisms combined together to form a colony. So hence it is called as colonial algae. For this we use the word wallbox. The wallbox is also called as rolling balls. Rolling balls. So this is usually one of the colonial algae. So wallbox is called as rolling algae. Now we go for the one more called as filamentous algae. Filamentous algae. So here filamentous, there is again two types. One is called as unbranched. So here filamentous algae, one is called as unbranched algae. There is no branching in the filament. For that, the example is Eurythrax. Eurythrax and Spirogyra. These are the examples for unbranched filamentous algae. Next, filamentous branched. There is a presence of filamentous algae, but there is a presence of branching in this, and thus the example for this is called as Cladophora. So Cladophora is the algae where there is a presence of branching. Now we are going for different types of examples again. So here I am giving you again different types of examples, calling it as wallbox. So wallbox is also called as motile flagellated algae. Motile flagellated. Motile flagellated colonial algae. Colonial algae. So here it is called as rolling balls or it is called as colonial algae. But here they are motile. They can move from place to place. Hence it is called as motile flagellated colonial algae. Next we go for one more example called as Hydrodictyon. Hydrodictyon. So this is called as water net. It is called as water Hydrodictyana. This is called as water net. They are non-flagellated algae. They are called as non-flagellated. Here the flagella is not present, but non-flagellated colonial algae. Colonial algae. Here they are in a mass group, but here they cannot move. Non-flagellated algae. They always form a net-like structure. Hence it is called as water net. We go for one more example called as chlorella. One more example called as chlorella. Chlorella is again non-flagellated, non-motile algae. So here chlorella is called as non-flagellated, non-motile unicellular green algae. Unicellular green algae. This is called as chlorella is an example. Here they are non-flagellated. Flagella is totally absent. They cannot move. So it is called as non-motile and they cannot move. Here the algae is unicellular green color. Hence it is called as unicellular green algae. Next, Wolzenia. It is called as Wolzenia. So this Volgeria is called as cenozoic algae. It is called as cenozoic algae. So here the word cenozoic, it has the presence of multinucleate. So here cenozoic multinucleate algae is present, hence it is called as cenozoic algae. Example is Volgeria. Next, Cephalosporus. So this Cephalosporus is a parasitic green algae. So it is a parasitic green algae. So the meaning of parasitic, they depend upon other. So they are called as parasitic. But it is usually called as green algae. So here, which causes diseases. So this green algae causes diseases. So one of the diseases is usually called as red rust. So red rust diseases can be noticed in a tea and coffee plants. So in tea and coffee plants, there is a presence of red rust disease. So this is parasite which depends upon other, but it is green algae causes a disease called as red rust disease. So we go for one more called as kelp. So kelp is also called as laminaria. So this is a very massive plant, aquatic plant. So here this plant is usually macroscopic and it is very huge. So it is called as kelp or laminaria, is one of the massive plant. So we'll go for the next one called as reproduction in algae. So how the algal plant reproduces, called as reproduction in algae. So here reproduction is both, or we try to use a word, there is a presence of vegetative reproduction, asexual reproduction, as well as sexual type of reproduction. There are three types. One is called as vegetative reproduction is also there, asexual reproduction is also there, and sexual type of reproduction is also there. So it is all the three types of reproductions are there. So we go for one after the other. The first one is vegetative reproduction. So the vegetative reproduction is nothing but the plant body, thallus, is split into pieces. So here the vegetative reproduction is also called as fragmentation. The meaning of fragmentation, the thallus or the plant body is cut into pieces, or we call it as the thallus undergoes fragments. So it is called as the thallus cuts into pieces and each piece may be called as fragment, and this gives rise to a new individuals or a new plants are being produced, hence we call fragmentation type of reproduction. Now we go for the second one called as asexual type of reproduction. So in asexual type of reproduction, we know that there is a formation of different types of spores are being produced. Different types of spores are being produced. So one of this type of spore is maybe called as zoospores. Here, the formation of zoospores is one of the asexual reproduction. So most common spore produced in the algae is called as zoospores. So they produce different kinds or different types of spores, and here one of the common spores produced is called as zoospores. Now we go for different types of asexual spores or asexual reproduction. So we go for types of asexual reproduction. In this, the one of this is called as very common as zoospores. So this zoospores are always called as motile. The zoospores are motile, which can move from one place to the another place. So they are always formed in the favorable conditions. In the presence of favorable conditions, the plant produces zoospores or algae produces zoospores which can move from place to place. So hence it is called as motile. Motile means they can move. So usually normally there is a presence of zoospores like this. There is a presence of flagellus, and with the help of this they are moving one place to another. So this is called as zoospores. So we go for the other one called as aplanospores. The second type of spores is called as aplanospores. These are thin-walled. These are thin-walled. The spore has the presence of a very thin wall and non-motile. They cannot move. Here, the spores never moves. So they are called as thin-walled, non-motile spores, always produced at the adverse conditions. They are found in the adverse conditions. There is a formation of a thin-walled, non-motile spores are being formed. Hence, it is called as aplanospores. Next, pycnospores. So here, pycnospores are nothing but thick-walled. Here, aplanospores are thin-walled. Pycnospores are always called as thick-walled spores. Thick-walled spores, again, they are non-motile. Thick-walled spores, non-motile. They cannot move. So there is the presence of thick-walled, non-motile spores, again, formed at the adverse conditions. Now we go for the next one called as aconites. The next one is called aconites. So here the aconites are nothing but the spores formed at the unfavorable conditions. It is formed at the unfavorable conditions. They are called as aconites, and this here the whole cell, the complete cell, the whole cell becomes thick. The whole cell becomes thick, hence it is called as aconites. Especially as I use the word in the non-stop, aconites also helps in reproduction. But here, aconites are nothing but the complete cell is covered by the presence of a thick wall, and this is usually called as aconite type of reproductions. We go for the next one called as palmella. Palmella stage. So in the palmella stage, they are always formed in the drought. They are formed in the drought conditions. So here there is a presence of drought conditions. There is a presence of protoplast. This protoplast is covered by a thick wall, and this thick wall is called as gelatinous sheet. There is a presence of gelatinous sheet, and this covers the spores. They are always formed at the drought conditions. So here there is a formation of drought conditions. There is a formation of gelatinous sheet over the protoplast, and this is nothing but plano stages. So here we have seen different types of spores produced during the asexual reproduction. One is called as zoospores, they are called as motile spores, whereas aplanospores, which are thin-walled, non-motile spores, and the third one is called as hypanospores, or thick-walled, non-motile, and aconites are called as the whole cell becomes covered by a thick wall, and the palmella stage is nothing but formed at the drought conditions, and the protoplasm here is covered by a gelatinous sheet. Now we go for the next one called as sexual reproduction. So here sexual reproduction involves in the formation of gametes. So here the algae also undergoes the formation of gametes. So here we start with The next one called as sexual reproduction. So here we know that sexual reproduction is nothing but it is formed by the fusion of two gametes. So here the fusion of two gametes takes place and that is converted to zygote, giving us a new individual or a new plant. So one is normally male gamete and the other one is called as a female gamete. Now the fusion of gametes takes place during the sexual reproduction. Fusion of two gametes. So fusion of two gametes is called as sexual reproduction. For example, some of the algal plants, the male sex organs are called as antheridium. The male sex organs, here some of the algal plants is called as antheridium. Whereas a female sex organs is called as oogonium. So here the male sex organs is called as antheridium and the female sex organs are called as oogonium. For example, when you take one of the marine water algae called as Chara, in this Chara the male sex organs, Chara is one of the macroscopic algae which can be seen on the water. So this Chara, the male sex organs are called globule. So here we use the word antheridium, but particularly in Chara the male sex organs are called as globule, whereas the female sex organs in the Chara is called as nucellus. Nucellus is nothing but the female sex organs in the Chara. The male sex organs are called as globule and the female sex organs are called as nucellus. So here we know that the fusion of gametes, there are two gametes are there. One fuses with the other gametes. So here the male sex organs produces male gametes and the male sex organs are called as antheridium. Female sex organs are commonly called as oogonium, which produces a female gamete called egg. But here in Chara the male sex organs are called as globule and the female sex organs are called as nucellus. And there are different types of sexual reproduction. We are going for the first one is called as isogamous. Isogamous is also called as isogamy. The word isogamy is nothing but it is the fusion of similar type of gametes. Here the gametes are may be flagellated, may not be flagellated or non-flagellated, but all the gametes are similar gametes are being fused, hence we use the word isogamy, which has a similar gamete. So the gametes which are flagellated, there is a presence of flagella, and this can be noticed in chlamydomonas. There is a presence of the flagellated gametes. When we go for, and it has similar size gametes are being present, the size of the gametes is similar. So when we go for the gametes which are non-flagellated, gametes are non-flagellated. Here the flagella is absent and this can be noticed in Spirogyra. Here there is a presence of gametes but flagella is not there, but the gametes are similar. Hence we use the word non-flagellated gametes. So we go for the next one. So So we go for the second one. The second one is called anisogamy. Anisogamous or anisogamy. The first one was isogamy, similar type of gametes was present. Here, the word anisogamy. The word anisogamy, here the gametes, the fusion of gametes which are dissimilar. They are different. So here, different type of gametes are there. The gametes are not similar. Different type of gametes. Different types of gametes are fused. Fusion of different types of gametes takes place, hence it is called as anisogamy. Here the gametes will not be similar, they are unlike gametes. Different gametes have been present in size. Different gametes in size have been present, hence it is called as anisogamy. So what some of the examples for this is Euderina. So Euderina, this is some of the examples for anisogamy. So we go for third one called as oogamy. The third one is called as oogamy or oogamous. Oogamous. So here in the oogamy or oogamous, there is a fusion of the male gamete and the female gamete which are different, but the fusion of male and female. But here, female gamete is large. There is a presence of large female gamete. The female gamete is large and they are non-motile. So here the female gamete is large but non-motile. The non-motile means they cannot move, they are static or they cannot move, fixed. They are usually not going to move. Whereas the other one is called as the male gamete. The male gamete is always smaller. The male gamete is always smaller and it is always has the capacity of motile or there is a presence of movement. So here the fusion of large female gamete and a smaller male gamete is called as oogamy. So female gamete is non-motile which cannot move, whereas a male gamete is smaller but it has the capacity of movement. So this is usually called as oogamous. The example for oogamous is called as volvox. So we know that volvox is also called as rolling balls. So one more example is called as fucus. So even in this fucus there is a presence of oogamous type, and one more example is called as sargassum. So in all this there is a presence of oogamous type of reproductions are being present. So always are three types. One is oogamous and the other one is anisogamous and isogamous type of sexual reproductions are present. Now we are stepping into the next one called as the classification of algae. So here based on the pigmentation present in the algae. So the algae has different types of pigments. So based on the pigmentation and type of food store and the pigmentation, there is a different types of algae are there. So we are going for classification of algae based on pigmentation and stored food present in it. So based on this, there are three types of algae. Based on the classification, there are three types. We go for the first one called as chlorophyce. The first one is chlorophyce. As we know that the chlorophyce is commonly called as green algae. So it is called as green algae. Chlorophyce is also called as green algae, or it may be even called as advanced algae. Advanced algae. So we go in detail about this. Chlorophyce is nothing but green algae. Here, the plant body coming under this will be unicellular. The meaning of unicellular, it is made up of a single cell. Unicellular, or it may be colonial. The word colonial, it is group. A group of algae is present. It is called as colonial, or it may be filamentous. It may be filamentous. So the word filamentous, they help in the formation of filaments. There is commonly this algae has a presence of a green pigment. Hence, they are called as green algae. So this has a presence of a green pigment, and this green pigment, because of the presence of more green pigment, hence they are called as green algae. So here, this green pigment has the green pigment called chlorophyll. This chlorophyll has the presence of chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B. So this is very dominant in chlorophyll or green algae. So green algae, there is a presence of a green pigment, and this green pigment is in the form of chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B. Now, based on the different shapes of chlorophyll, so the chlorophyll has different shapes. So based on the different shape of chloroplast, so the chloroplast is a cytoplasmic organelle. In a chloroplast, there is a presence of a green pigment called chlorophyll. So one of the examples called as Urothrax. The example, Urothrax. In this Urothrax, the shape of the chloroplast is, so based on the shape there are different types. Based on the shape, it is girdle shape. So Urothrax is an example where the shape of a chloroplast will be in the form of a girdle shape. So we go for the second example called as Chlamydomonas. So in this Chlamydomonas, the shape of the chloroplast is always called as cup shape. There is a cup shaped chloroplast in the Chlamydomonas. So we go for the third one is called as Spirogyra. So in this Spirogyra, there is a presence of ribbon shape, and it will be 1 to 16 ribbon shape. So for example, when we go for a Spirogyra, here there is a presence of the chloroplast will be ribbon shape like this. So this is the chloroplast which is in the form of a ribbon shape like this. It is in a reverse also. So here this is called as the chloroplast present in the green algae called as Spirogyra. Next we go for next one is Xynema. So in this Xynema, the chloroplast is stellate shape. Chloroplast is present in Xynema. Based on the shapes, there are different types of chloroplasts are there. Now we step into the next one called as based on the reserve food material. So here, based on the algae or chloroplast, the green algae of different types have been given in this. Now we are stepping into the reserve food. So majority of the members of algae, there is a reserve food in the form of pyrenoids. So green algae, there is the presence of pyrenoids. So these pyrenoids are called as storage bodies. So there is a presence of storage bodies called as pyrenoids which contains protein. So there is a presence of protein and it is also well developed starchy. So here the reserve food material in a green algae is starch around the protein. So we use the word starch is present around the proteins. So here we rightly use a reserve food material is in the form of starch. Some of the other algae has the presence of oil droplets also has a reserve food. So here major one is starch and it also has the presence of oil droplets of being present. Next, the organ cell has a presence of cell wall and this cell wall is made up of cellulose. The cell wall is made up of cellulose and sometimes the outermost layer of a cellulose there is a presence of pectin. There is a presence of pectin is present in the outermost part. We use the word pectose. Pectose is present in the outermost of a cellulose. Now, again we go for the reproduction in chlorophyll. So, again first one is called as vegetative type of reproduction. In chlorophyll, the reproduction is of different types. The first one is, again, it is called as fragmentation. So, the fragmentation is nothing but the thallus is split into pieces. The plant body, the thallus is cut into pieces and each piece develops into a new individual. Hence, it is called as fragmentation type of reproductions of being present. Now, we go for the next one called as asexual reproduction. So asexual reproduction again that is by the formation of different types of spores of being present. Different types of. So we go for the next one called as anisogamy. The word anisogamy it is nothing but the fusion of different types of gametes. So there are here two different types. They are not similar. The gametes are not similar. It is the fusion of two different types of gamete is called as anisogametes. And the third one is called as oogamous. The word oogamous it is called as oogamous is nothing but it is the fusion of female large gamete, female larger non-motile gamete, whereas the male is always called as a smaller motile gamete. Smaller motile gamete. This division is called as oogamous type of reproduction. So all the three types of reproductions are present in the chlorophyll. Now we go for the reserve food, more richest source of protein. So richest source of protein is present in blue-green algae. So blue-green algae and this is called as spirulina. So lot of food is being present, reserve foods are being present, called as richest proteins is present in the example called as spirulina. And chlorella. Chlorella is also one of the green algae which has the presence of rich proteins are being present. Again, here there is a presence of rich proteins are present in the algae called as chlorella. They are also used as called as space travelers. So here it forms a supplementary food for the traveling. So it is called as space travelers. They use chlorella for the food called as protein rich food. So we go for some more examples. So one of this, some of the examples present in green algae. Examples present in green algae is Chlamydomonas. Next, Eurythrax. So Eurythrax is also called as pond wool. Ulotrex is called as pond wool, or it is also called as winter algae. Winter algae. This is called as Ulotrex. So this is also one of the examples for green algae. The other one is called as Volvox. Volvox is also called as rolling buds, and the other one is Chara. So Chara is usually called as stonewort. Chara is also called as stonewort. So this is where there is a presence of more calcium deposition in the algae. So it is called as Chara stonewort. And the other one is called as Spirogyra. So Spirogyra is also called as summer algae. It is called as summer algae. So all these are nothing but some of the examples of green algae. So here chlorophyce is completed. There is a presence of the examples for this is chlorophyce, Chlamydomonas, Ulotrex, Spirogyra, and there is a presence of Volvox, Chara, Spirogyra. All these are the examples of green algae.